Hello and welcome for today's Cyber Talks on how CISOs effectively close security skill gap within your organization. To be presented by Dr. Asad Musa, who is the CISO at British Forces Broadcasting Service, with Mr. Carl Roberts, who is Director of Archer IT Limited. And I am Ritika Chakraborty, and I will be your host for the day. For our attendees, the session will be in listen-only mode and will last for an hour, out of which last 10 to 15 minutes will be dedicated to Q&A. If you have any questions during the webinar to the organizers or the panelists, post your questions in the Q&A window. Also, if you face any audio-visual challenges, please check your internet connections or you may log out and log in again. An important announcement for the certificate of attendance. Participants need to attend the complete webinar to qualify for the certificate of attendance. Participant should fill in the survey form in the attendees thank you mail and answer the 3 questions based on the webinar provided with the right answers within the same day. If these 2 criteria are met, then only the participant will receive the certificate of attendance within 5 to 7 working days after the webinar. Without any further delay, now the session is over to you, Asad and Carl.
Thank you, Ritika. Thank you everyone for joining us today in this webinar. Today we will be taking you on a journey to talk about our experience and challenges and solutions in the space of the skill gap in the cybersecurity and how we security leaders can help and can share with you some expertise and lessons learned from different approaches we tried and what we recommend to solve this problem. So we have today 15 slides. We're not going to bore you with too many slides, only 15 slides. It will be myself and Carl. We will be sharing the same slides and go through them and discuss the ideas on these slides. I'm Chief Information Security Officer at BFBS, and I chair the UK DTG Cybersecurity Group. I have 15 years plus experience in IT and cybersecurity in both public and private sector. I worked in academia and was lecturer in Reading University and supervised more than 20 master students. I also have certifications, as you can see on the screen here, but the one I am especially proud of is the certified CISO from EC Council, and this is a certification. We'll talk about it in more details towards the end of the webinar today. But and for my education, I have BSc, MSc, and PhD in cybersecurity. Carl.
Hi there, my name is Carl Roberts. I'm the Director of Archer IT Limited. We're a small independent information security and information technology service management consultancy. I have over 20 years experience within the field, and I've partnered with many major companies, both public sector and private within the UK. I'm a qualified ISO 27001 lead auditor and lead implementer. I am currently working on my CISP and will be going for my EC Council certified CISO qualification as well. Apart from that, I also hold ITSM qualifications as well as project management qualifications as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. So you're in good hands then, yeah. We'd like to move on to the agenda, Carl.
Yeah, I can do. So really, we just want to go through today what does cybersecurity look like at the moment? Why are the skills gaps there? What are the challenges around recruitment, training, academia, challenges within the security industry itself, and also as well around gender equality, because there are challenges there that we'll identify later on. Also, then we can go ahead then with the current solutions that we think that should be in place, could be put in place, and the people who will be able to help us fix these challenges that we have ahead of us. And then also as well for the students that are out there that are still new to the information security field, we want to talk a little bit about what paths you might want to consider when you're going into cybersecurity.
Thank you, Carl. So as you can see from the agenda, we considered the audience from different sectors and different attendees expectations from this presentation and this webinar. So starting with the first section here, the how does cybersecurity look like today? And we try to summarize the high level of the current state of play in the cybersecurity in any organization. So this is this list you can see here. This is a sort of a high level summary of when we talk about security leaders and CISOs and security directors worldwide, really, and see how security is currently is presented today. You can see from the first point there, and this is important for those who would like to join the security sector and struggling with that, or they have no idea how the security sector within organizations is managed. So mostly security is considered as KPIs and metrics. We have different security areas that we would like to measure how these areas are performing. So we have key performance indicators, KPIs and metrics, whether this is around patching, identity and access management, firewalls, and which firewalls is better, what firewalls are better than the others. And compliance is a big player in the cybersecurity as a big driver. I mean, whether it's a tick box exercise or it's about the spirit of the certification that organizations go to. Also, you will see when you go to the cybersecurity industry, whether you apply for a job or you are inside the cybersecurity and you have a security job, there are a lot of buzzwords driven by marketing and vendors, really, that are pushing new products or new strategies for security. The example I have here for you is XDR. If you don't know what XDR means, then you're not following maybe the latest trends in the cybersecurity buzzwords, which stands for, this comes from the endpoint detection and response plus network detection and response, the EDR plus NDR. They came up with a nice name. They call it XDR. So still, I'm not against it. I'm just saying to you is if you want to enter the security market, consider knowing what are the trends of products, services, and vendors, and how technologies and solutions are being presented. The way security is sold to the board is basically, if we don't do security, bad things will happen. Some companies are, at the moment, they are shifting this mindset into value-driven security. So if I go for the market to get a solution, I would rather get a company that is ISO 27001 certified or SOC 2 certified or any security certification they have, rather than another company who offer the same service, but they don't have anything to do with security. So security is becoming a selling point for many businesses. Carl, would you like to cover the other ones?
Just picking up there from where Asad left off. As a consultant, I come across a lot of companies that just simply think that because they've not been hacked, that they're fine. When in truth, it's actually very different, where there are two types of companies: those that have been hacked and those that will be hacked. Simple as that, really. Most companies are not in the business of doing security and doing cybersecurity. It's just not their thing. That's why they need individuals like ourselves to be able to step up and help them with these challenges that they have to protect their information, protect their privacy, and help them move forward. And at the end of the day, as Asad was just saying there, security is a part of security should not be a separate part of your organization. It should be part of your organization. It should be baked in straight from the start. And there's a common misconception as well that people are the weakest link and remain the weakest link. Even though people are a weak link in the chain, I don't feel that they are the weakest link, because it's more down to managerial side, not providing the awareness training that people need. So
thanks, Carl. So I think, yeah, so hopefully this will give you an idea of how the security is currently presented and implemented in many organizations, and what needs to be done there when you join the club. Right. If we talk about why is there a gap in the first place, and what's going on? Why we're always behind, and we claim the demand for cybersecurity requirements, and we need more people. I think the root cause for this gap, the skills gap, is because the technology that we are trying to protect is expanding and advancing faster than the security itself. So think about Microsoft or Cisco or these big technology companies. They are adding more operating systems, network devices and equipments, as well as the underlying technology itself in the cloud and SaaS solutions. They are actually expanding in the software development world very fast, and security comes as an after fact that we need to, okay, now we build something, now let's secure it. It's like we build a building in the real world, and we try to, and then we think about CCTV and having a security entrance and so on. While the new shift, the new mindset shift should be secure by design. When you start the planning, the drawing on designing some new technology, think about how to make this new technology secure in the design phase, even before you implement it and deploy it. So that's, I think, the root cause of why there's a gap, and because security is always thought is an idea, a requirement that before we go for the live phase, now let's add a new security. Let's take it to the CISO or the security person in the company to sign it off, or just do pen testing without doing any security considerations in the design phase.
Yeah, and as you know, it's more expensive to try and retrofit security into your organization and your systems and everything else. It's better off, like I said, as it says there, to have it straight from, right at the very beginning, have it baked in, have it as part of your organization, not a separate silo that's set off to the side of the organization. Because the threat landscape at the end of the day is increasing daily, and we're all aware of this. There's more cyber criminals out there because they've got more places to hide, because there's more technology that they're using, because technology is advancing so fast, and we're not keeping up with it. So, what do you think, Asad?
Yeah, exactly. This is part of the problem. The technology is increasing fast, and criminals or cyber criminals, they are finding lots of ways. I mean, the example I would just give you quickly is the API security. When we see a web application that is connected to the cloud and allow people to connect to it on the back end of APIs, how much people, if you ask your organization today when you come back to this webinar, how many in your organization, in your IT team, in your technical team would know about how to secure APIs? And this will open a really interesting discussions on how secure is our business. If you think about how many backdoors you are actually allowing by designing and deploying a solution that is not secure by design. Okay, so moving to the next one. That's your favorite topic, Cal?
Yeah, I'll pick up on this one, Asad. So I'm not bashing recruiters. I'm going to say this very openly right now. But unfortunately, there seems to be a bit of an issue when it comes to recruitment. We're not looking at things as clear cut as we should do. So I call some recruiters, I stress some recruiters unicorn hunters, because they're going out and they're trying to find people with the highest level qualifications to take on an entry level job. And that's not right. That helps create the skills gap, because recruiters should be going back to the hiring manager asking what would be a sufficient qualification for that role, or doing a bit of research and actually looking at what other roles are out there and what qualifications they're using. Now, it's a very difficult organization. It's a very difficult, industry to sort of fathom out if you have no experience in it or even any sort of awareness. So by asking somebody to have the EC Council's certified CISO qualification for an entry level job like a SOC analyst or something like that, it's not fair on people out there that are trying to get into the organization. And we've got to stop as well focusing on certifications as such. Start looking at what other transferable skills might be able to come into that, but we'll talk about that later. And challenge hiring managers. Have a look at what qualifications there are and challenge them and say the reason why they're not able to recruit and there is a skills gap is quite simple. Their shopping list is far too high, far too ambitious. There's things we can do to help this and sort this, but at the end of the day, we've got to start somewhere. So this is where I think we can really start making a big difference.
And this goes for the recruiters, whether inside the organization or they are recruiting agencies.
Yeah, definitely. You've got people. There's going to be hiring managers here right now who haven't really thought about the people they already have within their organization, who may have the transferable skills to move across into information security with a minimal amount of training. So if you've already got a network engineer, a little bit of training, he could be on network security and so on. Myself personally, I came into information security from service delivery management. Now, it's exactly the same thing in ways, because there is a lot of face-to-face, You've got to have your soft skills to be able to talk to people and explain, engage with your stakeholders. There are a lot of transferable skills that you could bring in there.
Excellent. Thanks, Carl. So to continue on that point of the certifications, let's face it, there are two roads of what recruiters or hiring managers ask people when they write their job description. Is either they have an academic certification qualification, or it's professional certification. And academia is facing a problem where, I mean, if we take the UK as an example, we have in the UK more than 180 universities in the UK and colleges. And these academic institutions, they have computer science, IT, and other technical certifications and degrees. And the problem is the lecturers, as well as materials, sometimes and in most cases, except a few universities, they are not necessarily up to date with what's happening in the industry, in the real world of when the students graduate, and they have no idea about how to fix a security problem in the real world. That's where the universities are really. It's about time to have this collaboration between the academia and the industry to update the the syllabus, the modules they deliver to students. I don't understand how can a computer science or an IT engineer graduate from with a BSc degree and they have no idea what Active Directory is. It's like you are graduating a medical doctor and you don't tell them about the heart and the brain and the core of the human body. It just, I mean, they will be graduating after 3-4 years and they don't have the basic knowledge to integrate into the real world. So that's in terms of the material. In terms of the practical labs, they are very important. I interview sometimes graduates from security courses, and they have heard about Nmap as a scanning tool. But when I ask them, can you give me any name of a flag in Nmap, they have no idea, because they just were, it was a slide and they told them, if you want to scan something, IP address or a device, scan with Nmap. But there's lack of practical knowledge and practical labs in these ones. So the point there about the cyber warfare, if you see what's happening in the real world of hackers now, how advancement is happening in the hacking world, and you see what is being taught in universities, there's a huge gap. We need to work with the academia to help them to make their courses more relevant. And hackers, they don't care whether you have a PhD or whether you have a BSc in any degree, to be honest. They are looking for a gap to exploit it, and they get in and exploit your organization and your business. Do you want to cover the training?
Yeah. So, you know, where do you start from? If you're new coming into cybersecurity, where would you start from? Most people will go into Google, they'll type in cybersecurity qualification, and you'll come up with a whole list of qualifications that you could go for. Now, if you're anything like me, you're going to look at it and go, well, I want the best. And then you go off and you go and chase the CISSP or the CISM or EC Council's certified CISO course, when really you're not going to be able to just walk into a managerial position with just having those qualifications. You need that grounded experience of working as a SOC analyst or in other sort of role that's an entry-level role and working your way up. Now, that there is more along the lines of people who, like Asad was just talking about, who have gone to university, they've done all the theoretical training, but they haven't really got around to doing any of the sort of real world, you know, fighting in the trenches, should we say. So you've got to look at what certifications are actually going to be more useful to you. And EC Council has plenty of qualifications that are a lower level than the certified CISO course that will help you on your on your journey into cybersecurity. Because at the end of the day, yes, the CISSP is an impressive exam. In the UK, it's equivalent to a master's degree, believe it or not. However, if you're trying to get into cybersecurity and you have no real IT experience, it's not going to help you. You need to be able to look at what qualifications are right for you and talk to people who have experience within your networks, or even better still, you know, you can reach out to recruiters and they'll be able to give you some kind of guidance as well about what qualifications to go for. But just remember, don't go looking for the most senior top of the range qualification to try and get into an entry level role, because it won't help at all.
In addition to the entry-level certifications, also if you're an IT engineer, like network engineer or software developer,
Yeah.
and you want to move to security, you just need to look for the certification that is relevant to what you know already. You don't have to even go for, because the CISP and other certifications in this level, I mean, I am a CISP, I'm not against it, but my advice is for those who want to specialize in one area in security, let's say cloud security architect, which pays, believe it or not, in the UK up to £1,000 a day rate as a contractor for a cloud security architect. You don't have to be CISP or certified in the general security certification. All you have to do is to focus on how to secure a product, maybe a firewall or a cloud architecture or access control for a cloud solution or integration between two systems. You need to look for the certifications that are specialists in certain areas to fulfill your dream job and what you want to as a step in the security ladder. Okay. Thank you. Let's move on to the other one. Is the other challenge we have is with the security industry itself, and I refer to the grassroots security community. Unfortunately, this is something we all are guilty of, which is first of all, and this is a fact. This is not like something we can change. The security industry, as any other industries, is driven mainly by the vendors of this sector, and they are big companies and giant players in the technology world. If you think about Microsoft, Cisco, Palo Alto, and these big players, they are driving the technology we are using, and hence we need to secure their products or the technologies we are currently using, whether it's a Windows or a browser or computer or a Mac. So this is a fact. This is a reality. We cannot do anything about it unless you want to become the next Microsoft. Then obviously you'll have a voice to change the technology that we are trying to secure. But also in terms of the how to secure organizations, because of the lack of enough people we can hire. I would love to hire 100 security analysts tomorrow, but this requires budget and training. And where do we get these people from? So the market is trying to adapt to the concept of automation. Automation is becoming now the big buzzword into security operating centers, where we have millions of events coming from all over the organization, and we need to monitor only what matters and qualify them into security incidents for a human operator to look into these collection of events and make a decision whether I need to investigate it further or not in a SOC environment. So automation is a great help in the absence of enough people, but keep an eye, as a security analyst, you will have to integrate also yourself into the knowledge of how to automate processes and investigations and incident handling in the security environment. And just to finish on this point, it's not all about penetration testing. Penetration testing is important, is required. It is tempting for anyone to learn it because it's cool to say I know how to hack, how to pen test. It means how to hack, right? So, but remember, penetration testing is the last step into securing your business, into your system. You design something and then you integrate security inside this solution, into design, into the deployment, and to the implementation. And before this solution goes to the sign off and the production environment, you'll benchmark it with a penetration testing to make sure hackers cannot hack into it. But as a graduate, if you just see security as penetration testing, you are missing the whole picture. Penetration testing is important, but it is one element out of many elements.
But that also goes the same as well for with recruitment. Most people just say that they want to see, some kind of pen testing qualification when you wouldn't need it if you're just a governance risk or compliance manager. For instance, having an understanding of pen testing is good enough, really. So pen testing isn't the be all end all when it comes to cybersecurity.
Exactly, and just to add a positive point on pen testing, which will help probably for those who are interested in penetration testing, so they don't feel we're against it or anything. Many organizations who don't have the security knowledge, but they rely heavily on engineers and technicians to design solutions for them. It's important to engage with penetration testers to assess the security of the organization or solution or business or website, and then they will know by then whether their solution was secure or not. So always consider, as a complete security program, you need to consider penetration testing as a last step to make sure the solution you are presenting to the world, to your customers, is actually secure and then will not be hacked by hackers, because you need to have friendly hackers, the penetration testers, who can give you this assurance that your solution before you deploy it to the public is secure. Okay. The other challenges is with the gender equality, and this is something we need to address. And I see many initiatives in the UK and in Europe and worldwide, really, about women in cybersecurity is becoming important, and there's a voice for this direction and thinking. Because let's face it, and when we talk about the technical roles, it's still dominated by male candidates and engineers who are basically male, and we are missing out many big and important talents that we can bring from the female candidates. But I think there's a problem here, which is back to the point Carl mentioned earlier about the recruitments, is when companies they make the job description as a race to show off in front of their competitors and everyone on LinkedIn and social media that, look, we are going to hire a security analyst who has all these qualifications and all these certifications. It's like an opportunity to show off. Unfortunately, this is really wrong. This mindset really needs to change, because the consequence of this approach of showing off on the job description with unrealistic requirements, the female candidates will not be applying for this one, because from the Women in Cyber initiatives, I hear a common request, which is, can you please, in any event, in any opportunity, make sure we educate hiring managers, make your job descriptions realistic, so the female candidates will not feel rejected if they only tick, let's say, 3 out of the 10 requirements, or only a small number. The female mindset, according to the Women in Cybersecurity initiatives, they say if they don't see they tick all the boxes or most of the boxes, they wouldn't even bother to apply. So if you don't have even applicants, how can you get female candidates into your organization to join your cybersecurity? So please, it's a win-win situation. Make your job description realistic, and make sure when you get female candidates, try to give them the chance. And Carl, you want to talk about the soft skills also?
Yeah, soft skills. So I've always found, especially working previously with service desk and things like that, that female candidates always came across better to me, because quite simply they had that they had a better approach. They didn't sound as angry and as aggressive like I've been accused of previously. This is my normal speaking voice, and people think I'm shouting at them. So ladies just generally don't have that, but they're calmer in situations normally. They don't get so irate and everything else. They can look at a situation with a clearer head normally. And it's such a shame that if, whereas blokes, whereas men were quite bullish, we'll see a job and we'll just say, oh, I can do that, whether we've got all the qualifications or not. Women don't have that confidence, and that's such a shame, and they should really be able to step up and be able to say, I can do that, and they can go for it.
Well, it's a joint responsibility, isn't it, between hiring managers and also the Women in Cyber initiatives to try to encourage more female to apply for security jobs.
Yeah, yep. And especially from internal you've got people within your own organizations that would make absolutely great cybersecurity engineers with a little bit of training. It's just getting them into it. What you're looking for is that curiosity about how everything works and how they'd be able to help. And that's the first thing I look for whenever I'm hiring anyone. Is I always look to see how curious they are, what they like about their own sort of progression, their own sort of training. Do they go out their way to learn things on their own time? Things like that. And you normally find that a lot of men generally don't do that, where women will do that.
Excellent, thanks, Carl. Right, so moving to the current solutions, and that's where we need to start with. Do you want to start with the people approach?
Yeah, so we have a skills gap. We all know this. How are we going to be able to keep our organizations working and secure? We have a couple of options. One is you can go out and outsource the actual work and have a third party do all the work for you. There's plenty of organizations out there that will provide your security services for a fee and have it all done by themselves. The other one is you insource, and then that's where you'll hire contractors or a consultant like myself, or you'll actually go out and find permanent staff, whether they are out in the big wide world or within your own organization. I would never, ever, ever I would never turn around and say, do not look at your people inside. Give them the training, give them the tools they need, and you'll be surprised exactly who you have on your teams already that be able to do the work. Asad, do you want to add to that, or?
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, we need many people, and these are the available approaches when it comes to people. Either you outsource it, basically the whole requirement is you shift it outside the organization because you have no capacity to have people inside, or contractors, or as you said, it's contractors or payment staff. If I may continue on the other 2 points, on the process approach and the technology approach, or the technical approach. And this is, by the way, just to give you one step back here, what we are presenting to you here is how the industry worldwide is adapting into the lack of enough people in the cybersecurity space by using one of these approaches. And on the side here, you can see, so ideally use a combination of all 3 approaches. So I'm going to cover the next 2 approaches, the process approach, where creating a culture of security aware organization, or creating an enterprise that is security aware. Many companies, they realize it's not about only the few guys who are sitting in the IT department who do security and updating antivirus and patch their machines. We need to make everyone in the organization aware about their role, or how to contribute to make the organization as a whole as secure and protected from external attacks. So many companies are investing heavily in training their staff on the basic of cybersecurity. I'll be surprised if you consider your organization or company is secure if nobody knows what a phishing email is. That's a good example I always use, where if you ask the receptionist or the CEO on what do you think about phishing emails, and they say phishing as phishing, or what do you mean phishing, then you have a serious problem you need to address about the security awareness in your organization. So that's an approach. It's a process-driven approach. The other approach is to merge security into your IT processes and IT people, as well as if you are a software development company or a product company, then you integrate security into your DevOps. And when you integrate IT into security, we call this the IT security. And I know many successful examples where the IT team, they're actually doing their IT requirements for making sure the technology is there and provided to the users and the customers, but also they do the security bit of their job. So if it was networking, they do networking, and they know about access control requirements for the network layer and so on. If it's a cloud, they understand the cloud, Azure or AWS, and they know how to secure the access control for the cloud, as another example. So it's IT security instead of just IT alone and security alone. And also the sec DevOps, when you add security into the software development, or the DevOps agile software development, that's when we call it sec DevOps. And unfortunately, I see confusion about some people call it sec DevOps or DevSecOps. The DevSecOps, I'll talk about it in the next approach, which is the technical approach, where we either use automation, as I was explaining earlier, about how to make sure the security processes, the security alerts and notifications are as automated as possible. And that's when we introduce algorithms and machine learning and artificial intelligence into the security world, into the security operations. So we are adding development into the security operations. That's why you call it the DevSecOps. It's how to develop the security into automation. And also the second approach for technical for technically bridge the gap of cybersecurity skill gap in the industry is to adapt the zero trust architecture model. And the zero trust is not a product, by the way. If someone tells you it's a product, they don't understand it fully. Zero trust is about it's a security strategy where you need to adapt it on a whole business level, where you give any application or your data the access requirements that needs to make sure we make it harder for the hackers to hack into organization. So because there are not many people in the security space to be hired, we rely on making it harder, making hackers' life harder to hack into organization by reducing the likelihood of the breach or the compromise. So zero trust, think about it, it's about you invest heavily into the authentication mechanisms, into securing your data and your systems by, for example, relying on user authentication, device authentication, and both, as well as conditional access into accessing these applications, data or systems. Okay, so that's the the three approaches that you can use, and ideally use the three approaches to make sure you bridge the gap, the security skill gap in your organization. And just to finish, we have this slide. I think this is the one before the last one. Actually, two more to go. I'm just conscious of the time. This is what we wanted to present to you here is, okay, so you are interested into getting into the cybersecurity, but where do you start from? Think about the security market as like a pyramid here, and with multiple layers. It's like a ladder. You want to get from the entry level up to you lead the whole security in the organization. So what is the job title you need to search for in the job boards to find the right match for your skills and your interest. See where you are now and where you should be next in the next promotion if you are inside the organization or you want to apply for a job elsewhere. So just to give you an example here, so back in the days when I started security, and as Carl said, I did some Google search and say maybe because of the search engine optimization and the CISP has maybe the highest rank back then. I did it like 7 years ago or something, where CISP was the one I started with. But then when I wanted to move to own the entire security program for an organization I want to work with, the system is not enough. Systems will give you like something about everything. Some certification will just qualify you to be a security engineer or SOC analyst. But for me, I wanted to own the entire security function of the business. So I went for the EC Council's certified CISO, because this is a certificate that is designed by CISOs around the world, the top of the cream, and they will give you the mindset that you want to have to own the security function. And to be a CISO, it means you are the ultimate authority in the organization about anything to do with security. You will sign off on projects, you will sign off of any budget to do with security, and the top management of the organization will take your word on how to become secure. What certification as business you need to have to win a contract or to get new business. So we need to make sure when you go for any level in the cybersecurity ladder, just make sure you are targeting what is needed for you and find the certification relevant to that level. Carl?
Yeah, completely agree. Like I said earlier, there's no point going for high-level exams when you're only just starting out your career. Or like I said as well, if you only want to work with network security or with the Azure systems or platforms or anything else, and you already have experience with that, just look for the security qualification that's relevant to where you want to be. As you build up your career, then you can start at the higher level qualifications like the EC Council's certified CISO. So yeah, find the right qualification for yourself. And to hiring managers and recruiters, you need to also do the same. You also need to start looking at what is actually required for these roles, especially the lower level roles. So
exactly, yeah. Thank you. So moving to, we talked about that there's a demand for cybersecurity, but just to give you the source is the World Economic Forum on the growth of cybersecurity jobs. Expected in the year 2025, we will be needing 97 million jobs in these 10 areas or 10 sectors. If you think about it here, these are each one of these they mention as a cluster. So information security is one of the top 10 jobs that will be required by the year 2025. If we divide this 97 million by 10, you'll have 9.7 million vacancies in cybersecurity in the year 2025. That's in 4 years' time or less. So where do you get these people from? That's, I think, the question. So people who are not in the cybersecurity will obviously need to consider joining us, because I think this is one of the richest sectors, but also there are other areas to do with technology or non-technology where you need to consider as well. I also keep an eye on the jobs that will not be relevant in the future. That's also it's about time to see what's happening and where things are moving. But as I said, think about it. The world will need 9.7 million jobs in cybersecurity in 4 years' time, and we don't have this number. We need more people to join us from other sectors. Graduates need to study security and get themselves certified from the qualifications that are relevant to the jobs that will be needed. Carl?
Yeah, I personally think that the number is going to be a lot bigger, because every organization is going to need some form of information security, cybersecurity, whatever going forward. And that could be whether you're being a full-time employee, whether you're a contractor, a consultant, or whatever. I think that job number is going to grow a lot bigger than 9.7, to be absolutely fair, because the other growing job demands that you see there are normally going to be within larger organizations, and they're going to need security as well, which is
Yeah.
why I believe that number is going to go up even more.
And if you have this question in mind, anyone, that robots will replace humans anytime soon, you're wrong, I'm afraid. This is the World Economic Forum making all these studies on telling us, by the way, we still need this number of people to be joining, whether it's artificial intelligence or big data or data scientists, but information security is definitely will be relevant and will continue to be relevant. And we have all these millions of vacancies in the next few years.
Yeah.
Okay, so to conclude then, let me just make it clear that whether you are a student or a graduate or moving from other sectors, for students, please, while you are studying computer science, IT, cybersecurity, try to be relevant to the market. Try to understand where the battlefield that you will be targeting to work to help us in the cybersecurity battlefield. You need to understand about a little bit about the technology that you'll be expected to secure. A security analyst or a SOC analyst will be expected to understand the product or the technology that you are trying to secure. Don't just rely on the universities now will teach you everything, because nobody knows everything, and universities they need to be up to date of what's happening. And I'm telling you, there's a huge gap between academia and cybersecurity. Only a few universities, and I'm talking about the UK, by the way. Here, I'm sure that the rest of the world also will have this problem, where the universities will need to update their syllabus and modules to be more relevant to the cybersecurity battlefield. If you are a graduate, you need to consider qualifications. Stay relevant, be certified, stand from the crowd. If you have 100 in your class, they're graduating next year, you'll be the one who will have the certification. So when I get CVs from 100 graduates, I will take the ones who have the certifications, because I know they took the extra step while they are students in the summer break, or the straight after they graduated. I can see they are motivated and dedicated to cybersecurity rather than just having a degree. And moving from other sectors, as Carl was talking earlier about the transferable skills, it's very important to consider you don't have to start the ladder from the bottom, by the way. See what you know now, see where you can fit in this pyramid of cybersecurity market, and try to just have these complementary courses to make your existing skills and knowledge relevant to where you fit in the cybersecurity ladder. Carl?
Yeah, and also as well with the business leaders within the audience, you need to start looking at your information security as being part of your business. Like I said before, I work heavily with ISO 27001, and it's quite a dry standard if you ever try and read it. But the one thing it does have in there is it says about your information security management system, which is a system you have to protect your organization. If you went through that standard on its own, and a wise man told me this, if you went through this standard on its own and changed the information security management system wording to just say your organization, your business, that becomes your business management system. So security becomes part of your organization. And that there will also be leading to the people you hire, the people you bring on board that have cybersecurity awareness. Some form of cybersecurity training is what you should be offering all your staff. As Asad said earlier on, a lot of people don't even know what a phishing email is. They don't know what to do if they find a USB stick that's been left in the car park. There's many different ways that we can be had through social engineering. If people aren't aware of it, there's not a lot we can do. And the only way we can fill in that skills gap is by having people being aware. Okay. The other thing as well for myself, and I'm a big believer of this, is succession planning, where you will always look at hiring from the not lower ranks, but from people who don't necessarily have the skills, but they have the enthusiasm. So for all you business leaders out there who have your own IT departments, you have a help desk, start there. Start bringing people up through the organization. So they might start off with a help desk, bring them onto the network team. Then, as Asad said there, bring them into the network security team and move them up and progress them like that, because then you'll end up keeping your staff. Your staff retention will go up, I promise. Apart from that, Asad, over to you.
Thank you. Just to finish with one last sentence before we conclude this webinar from our side. Think about security. There's the blue team, the defenders, and the red team, the penetration testers and red team specialists. Make sure your information security program is equipped with the right people, with the right skill set, with the right qualifications to fit in the ladder of your security hierarchy in the organization. As a security leader, as a business owner, you need to make sure you trust in each layer. You trust your, as Carl said, you trust your help desk, you trust your engineers, you trust your managers, you trust your board and the other directors in the business, that they know what is expected from them to do their job securely. But also within the security function as a security leader, make sure your blue teamers, the defenders, they are all over your technology and anything that is being implemented, whether it's a technology, cloud, on-premise, endpoints. You know exactly what security requirements, and you have the defenders there, whether it's your IT team to work in a secure way, or you bring more people to help you with that, using the three approaches we talked about: the people, the technology, and the processes. Also, for the red teamers, make sure you always have this sanity check on you, whether you are secure or not, whether you can be hacked or not, by hiring penetration testers, red teamers, and understand these exercises you can do between the red teaming and the blue teaming, where you make your red teamers try to hack into your organization externally or internally, and see when your defenders can pick up this incident and can report it. You manage to improve your detection rate and the prevention of cyber incidents. I think that's the last point we want to finish with. Thank you very much for your time, and now we move to the questions and answers.
Thank you very much, Asad and Carl, for an insightful and information session. And I hope all our attendees have actually enjoyed it. So this session is in sync with EC Council's CISO program. Certified Chief Information Security Officer, CISO, is an executive level program that covers what you should know about information security from an executive management point of view. It combines all the components required for this C-level position, including audit management, governance, IS controls, human capital management, strategic program development, and financial expertise. Over 6,000 Chief Information Security Officer jobs opening, and an experienced and certified CISO professional in the US can earn between $1,96,000 to $2,60,000. Eligibility criteria for CISO: minimum 5 years of experience in any three of the mentioned 5 domains. The domains are governance and risk management, information security controls, compliance and audit management, security program management and operations, information security core competencies, strategic planning, finance, procurement, and vendor management. If you are interested to know more, kindly take part in the poll that's going to be conducted now. Let us know your preferred mode of training and we will reach out to you. Now we will start with the Q&A session, and over to you, Khaled.
Thank you so much, Ritika. Thank you, Asad and Carl. It was really an amazing session. And I think most of our questions were already answered during the session, but I'll just go through some which weren't. So Mark asks, is there any professional organization for security professionals in the UK, that is BCS for General IT Skills or the Association of Project Managers?
There is a Chartered Institute of Information Security. I think that's right. Asad, do you know the ones I'm on about?
There's the British Computer Society. That's one. But if the question about project management or security, I wasn't sure about the question, to be honest.
It's about what sort of organizations like BCS or APMG or anything like that. So is there one specifically for, cybersecurity, information security that you're aware of?
As an organization, I mean, in the UK in general, the government has the NCSC, the National Cybersecurity Centre, where they set the requirements for all government and private sector expectations to meet the security requirements. For example, if you want to be a supplier for the government, you have to be Cyber Essentials as business. You need to be Cyber Essentials certified. This is a scheme for your business to meet the basic security requirements. But for individuals, this is only dominated by private sector, like IEC Council. You can be certified from. There's no specific set of requirements only applicable in the UK. All of them are valid, basically.
Okay, cool. So another question is pretty long. So Meseret asked, I am a graduate level cybersecurity student. I have 2 semesters to graduate. I also have another degree in health informatics. However, I couldn't find a job due to lack of experience in the field. I also could not get certification since I require at least 2 years of experience in the field in order to sit for the exam. I also have several years of experience as a registered nurse. What is your advice for someone like me to be able to get an employment?
Transferable skills in that one are going to be good, because you're going to understand that with cybersecurity and information security, you've got to look after the information. In America, you have various laws like HIPAA, things like that. In the UK as well, we also have data protection laws. So you already know what will be classed as patient data. So I would definitely be putting that right at the front. Now you've got 2 more semesters left of the degree. As I said, myself said earlier, let's start looking as well at some of the more entry level sort of qualifications to help you get your foot in the door. Asad, you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, so I think just to add what you said, Carl, and because you come from the health sector from your studies and courses, this, as Carl said, this will be very useful for you to apply easily for the pharmaceutics or health sectors, where, like in the UK we have the NHS, for example. I'm sure they would love to. I mean, if you join a company or an organization where they are specialized in health related sector, they will have you better than someone who comes from only a graduate from a good university with some certifications, but they have no idea about their sector, the terminologies, the business itself. So you already have an advantage here on among everything else, that the sectors that you can apply to easily will be the health related sector. In terms of what you need to learn, it's really entirely up to you. If you want to specialize in, and I need to just mention this quickly, in security we have 2 umbrellas. One is the GRC. Write it down if you want. GRC stands for governance, risk, and compliance. These are the soft skills, non-technical side of cybersecurity. So you can be an auditor, you can manage people, you can look after security incidents as managing the SOC, and become a SOC manager without being technical, understanding the coding and what's happening on a technical level. If you want to go for the technical roles, obviously you need to understand the technology first that you want to secure. Or you want to be generalist, where you need to start somewhere on a basic security certification. If you just go for Easy Council's website, there are plenty of entry-level security certifications. Just pick one of these ones related to security incident, security analysts, and take the ladder from there.
Okay, thank you. Now, another one is a compliment to Dr. Asad, and from one of the fan clubs that he belongs to, Dr. Asad fan club. Even we at Cybersecurity are part of it. So he says, you are always a role model to us since we were in college. Thanks for a great information. It's Ali Abdul Razak, if you know him.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ali.
Moving on, the next question is, how do you view remote jobs in cybersecurity in future? Is there any hope for those who can't travel in some countries to work remotely?
I'll start with that one. So when COVID first came around and we first had the lockdowns in the UK, the first thing that I said to everyone was quite simply, no organization would be able to ever deny flexible working, because COVID did actually more for information security than what most CISOs actually do, or what most CEOs actually do for their organization, because they suddenly had to take information security and cybersecurity very seriously because people had to work from home. So I can't see personally that changing. I know a lot of organizations that are literally now just finishing off their leases, their rentals on the properties, the offices that they have in the centre of London, Sydney, Australia, New York, to save that money by not having staff coming in. So I personally think that the remote working side of things is going to continue. In fact, I think it's going to flourish. Asad?
100% agree with you, and just think about it from the concept of from the angle that all businesses are moving to the cloud anyway. This cloud is coming. As much as we want to say there will be a hybrid model between on-premise servers and some on the cloud, in the future will be cloud based. The cloud is not going to fade away. So with no data to be in the office to protect, all the data will be in the cloud. Why doesn't matter if I access and secure the data from home or from my country or from the office? And to your question, which means more jobs will be more remote, so you don't have to leave your home country to protect your organization and the data from your machine. So all access control required, MFA and everything else. Authentication is improving, and Microsoft as really leading the efforts on even having passwordless authentication. So with all these efforts from everyone, from the technology, from the businesses, from the cloud, I see the future for the remote working will continue and here to stay.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from Sise from Ethiopia, and she says, I have some certificates from EC Council, how to be employed in UK or any American country. Okay, North American country. Thank you for the webinar. It was really useful.
So it would all, you're talking.
Can I answer this one?
Yeah, you go for it, mate.
In a good one, because I have many friends in other countries, the Middle East and in other countries where they would like to come to the UK to work and to study and obviously to help finding a job here. With this gap that we have in 9.7 million gaps in cybersecurity in 4 years' time, even governments will have to ease the requirements to bring more people from other countries to work in the UK or Europe or other countries where they're relying on technology very much to the extent that this demand and the continuous breaches and compromises that we hear in the news will force or will force the decision makers on visa requirements to the reality that, you know what, we need to have people with certain level of skills. So all I can say is keep doing exams, keep being up to date with what's happening in the cybersecurity, and many jobs in the UK, especially after leaving the EU, will be very soon, if not already in a place where it's going to be point-based system or something similar, where we will be looking for people with the right skills to bring overseas to the UK to help us in securing our businesses. So this is something is going to happen very soon, and I'm sure many countries in the West, and they will consider specialized people in certain knowledge and technologies to help us, and with sponsorship visas.
Yeah, and to sort of tag on to that, back in 2000, the end of 2001, I moved out to America for 10 years, quite simply because I had one qualification to do with Polycom video conferencing. Because after the disaster of 9/11, suddenly nobody wanted to travel or fly or anything else like that. So video conferencing blew up in a big way. And because I was one of the few people in the world that had this one Polycom qualification, I was headhunted and moved out there. Now, originally it was only meant to be a 6-month contract. It was 10 years later I came home. So there are ways of doing it, and try and find. I drop lucky, as we say in the UK, but try and find those niche sort of markets that you'd be able to fill a gap in, and that will help you out even more.
And keep an eye on job specs where job websites where they require people even from overseas. If they have the right level of skills, many companies are willing to sponsor them anyway now. And there's no, you don't have to wait for any change of policy on visas. Just be qualified with the right certifications and apply for jobs who accept international candidates.
Okay, so the last question for the day is, most jobs are certificate driven. I have an experience in security, but I'm required to have an entry-level cert in order to be invited for an interview or considered for one. So even with experience, I still have to have a certificate. Is it everywhere or just in some places?
I don't think it's everywhere. If you can demonstrate that you've got the experience, if you can show it, if when you go into interview you're able to talk about relevant sort of situations that you may come across from your experience, then that should be more than enough. However, I do know that certain countries are very, very certificate driven when it comes to gaining employment. So I personally, from it being in the UK, the answer would be no. But I'd have known places like India, like the UAE, places like that where you have to have a degree just to be able to go and do a sort of, an entry level job.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get us wrong. What we are saying here, there are certain jobs it will make sense to be certified, which means that you have no knowledge gaps in this area. If you want to specialize in securing a server and you go for, let's say, a Microsoft certification, then you definitely will need to have a standard benchmark of your knowledge into securing this area. So some specific technical jobs will require you to have a certification. For the hiring managers, just to have this confidence that you covered all the aspects of this one side of security. But as a general rule, this is a reality that we're not going to change the mind of all the hiring managers. The market, especially in the UK, is crazy about certifications. It's driven by certifications. So all you have to do is to keep certifying yourself, because the certifications are not bad. They will keep your knowledge benchmarked and tested against a best practice, and depending on which certification you go to. But make sure that you are relevant and you stand from the crowd. If there are 100 people applying for the job, why don't you have this extra certification to be picked up from the other CVs and get the job you want? But if you feel like this one company or the jobs you are applying to, they are only asking about one certification, you may want to understand your sector that you are applying to. Maybe you are applying for something you don't really enjoy or you don't necessarily want to progress in the next 5 years. You pick the employer as they pick you, by the way. Select the company that they feel they understand the sector and understand your dream, and that can give you the opportunity even to train and do the certification on the job rather than as an entry requirement.
Okay, that is end of our presentation and the webinar. Thank you again, Carl and Asad. It was really a great session with you too. And also, I think all of our attendees, thank you so much for being part of it. Any concluding words, both of you?
Thank you very much, and all the best, everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much. Take care.
Okay, great. For all the attendees, you may now disconnect the lines. Thank you so much for joining in.